The key part of strategy that makes it successful is actually that very point, the word successful. In most places, in most if you're a brand new team to education within a company or kind of at any point, defining what success is really the biggest challenge for you. And that has a lot to do with, obviously both your audience is really important, but also what everyone else in your company thinks is success as well. And so my advice here is to take this part extremely seriously. I think also think of it as a relationship building exercise. The closer you get to both your audience and all of your stakeholders, the closer you might get to documenting it. And then I also would say, try to be very, very deliberate and explicit about what it is and what it isn't, and make it very small if you can, especially if you're starting. What I'm thinking is if you're starting an educational initiative in the company, the best thing you can possibly do is to try to whittle down what you're focusing on to a small list. What I tend to find teams to do is they tend to, and I get this, there's always pressures in education. As soon as you mention it, everyone wants a different course about a different thing. And then that can often make our whole offering seem like a potpourri of lots of different stuff. As best you can, whittling it down and focusing on just a few initiatives, and then getting extremely clear about what success looks like and coming up with measurements to how you can then define what that success is. So at the end of the year, you can actually step back and say, like, I don't need to necessarily, put out some amazing speech or send bottles of wine to all my senior execs. Actually, we can just step back and look at data that we all agreed on at the beginning of the year would tell us some of the story of what success looks like or doesn't. And then, of course, I think one of the assumptions I always make here is then, of course, do a really good job of your work, and then the metrics will be there. And I will say this, in all of my different stops in educational teams, data has always been really awesome. Even when something doesn't turn out quite how we would think, the conversation often illuminates, a lot of different stuff that does come up. And when you get into measurement in the first place, there's always kind of unexpected, if you might have a failure in one of your major success pieces, or one of the things you're really looking at, there's often, if you look further into the data, some other clues about maybe why that happened, and then also other initiatives that you might be able to do in the future that will be more successful.